All, all right. So yesterday we just deployed, SQL Server plain VM. Okay. So we just, manually downloaded the SQL binaries or the softwares and we just installed. Okay. So that is a one kind of real-time approach. Okay. So the other real-time approach sometimes, okay, at a part of cost optimization, so client maybe ask you the, okay, so you may aware of, on premises how we are going to do, right? So if the server capacity is, more, you can install multiple named instance as well. Okay, within the host you may use for the, sometimes, okay, so some, medium level or small companies within the host, okay, you can install the development, UAT and the production as well. Okay, this is, some uh, uh, rare scenario, but still, if you have some cost optimization, if you want to leverage that, resources the host effectively using, okay, so you can have this, requirement from the client as well. Okay, so you build a server with, 20 cores and 150 GB RAM. Okay, you have installed production server. The database size is only for, 500 GB, and it is not uh, using even 30 to 40%. Okay, so the ideal thing is, 60% of the resources is, not effectively utilizing. So that is the case, we can able to install, named instances. Okay, so if the default instance got already exist. Okay, so uh, that approach we can able to take it forward basically. Okay, so the agenda is what I'm trying to do. Okay, so just try to understand the requirement, then after that we'll go for, step by step process and all. Okay, so this will comes into this, normally if you are working in a cloud environment. Okay, so you have, existing on premises or, Azure VM. Okay, so Azure VM with you, or SQL Server in Azure VM, right? So that we can discuss. Okay, so and we just, you have configured like this VM. Okay, 20 core and uh, 80 GB RAM. Okay, okay. Now the point is here, you installed. Okay, so you have installed the SQL Server in this VM, and you observe that. Okay, so it is using not 100% of the resources, just it is using 30% of the resources. Okay, so yes, we have alternative, scaling down of resources, but that is in a different approach actually. Yes, we can able to scale down the configuration. Okay, so okay, so that will also will take it up, but then, without doing of that scaling down and all, how we can be able to effectively use for the SQL Server instance. Okay, so now the client is required. So if you want to utilize this, 80 to 90% of that, so that he will go for, SQL Server instances. So this may be, let's say uh, instance one. Okay, so instances one you have. Okay, so already existing. Okay, so and client wants to one more instances to install. Okay, so you guys is aware of only one default instance we can able to instance, not more than that, but named instance we can utilize, max 50 instances. Okay, or 25 cluster instances. Okay, but the single the recommendation would be the uh, 50 instances, okay, for the standalone named instances, right? So this is the existing one. Okay, existing one. So now the client is coming and asking you to utilize, since it is using only 30% of the resources, you want to install two more instances in this, same box. Okay, so that's what the requirement. So during the deployment, what we are going to use, the marketplace existing template we are going to use. And tomorrow, for this existing marketplace template, we are going to make it as an image and build in multiple servers also. We are going to do that practice. But today agenda is, so client requirement is just we need to install the named instance in the existing VM, and where we are going to find that binaries and all also we are going to capture and install it step by step process. That is the one use case of the real time based. Okay, the other thing is what we are going to do basically, uh, we are going to do for the Linux host in a SQL Server as well. That also we are going to use. So yeah, I work for the couple of clients. Okay, so to reduce the cost comparing to Windows VM. Okay, so the Linux and the Ubuntu flavors, it is going to take very less amount of the cost. Okay, so that is that use case also we are going to test it and do. So both are the real-time use cases. Okay, you may get this kind of request from the client. Okay, so without changing of the existing configuration, how we are going to effectively utilize it. Okay, so let's jump into this one. Okay, so first of all we'll go to the portal and just click on and create a virtual machine, and then we'll do some step-by-step process here. Okay, so we can walk through this one. I'll share this step-by-step one, and let's have this now deployment process first of all. Okay, so other thing is, okay, so you have SQL Server VM, Azure VM. Okay, so there is a two-tier architecture or a three-tier architecture. Okay, so there we may sometimes you will get within the single host. Okay, you can install web server and the SQL Server as well. Okay, so this will comes into the cloud end as an infrastructure as a service role. Okay, so in the infrastructure as a service, you may aware of that underlying hardware component. Okay, so networking switches and CPU memory that it is going to provide cloud vendor. So on top of it, okay, so you have to do some administration task on this particular SQL Server and Azure VM. So this is what we are going to do today demo. Okay, so do you have any questions? Let me know so that we can move forward. Okay, I'll take it up as no. Okay, so let me jump into this portal. Okay, so that we'll get some. See, the simple straightforward question is here. The to affect the usage of the existing SQL Server IaaS VM, I want to use multiple instances. Okay, so if you want to go for the multiple instances, by default you can install only one default instance. Okay, we can up to 50 standalone named instance we can able to install in the single mission. Okay, that's what is prerequisites basically. Okay, so why we are going to installing that one? So within the single host, you may have some multiple environment like development, UAT, and production one. This is what scenario basically. Okay, so let's have this deployment and do some installation process. Okay, so since I have already resource group. Okay, so let's go this all the services. Okay, so under the services. You have the database one. Okay, so and you just take this one SQL virtual machines. Okay, you have multiple flavors over here, so whatever you want you can able to choose here. Okay, so let me take it up navigation to these two parts. Still we haven't jumped into this managed instance part. Okay, so we are in a infrastructure as service point. Okay, so always take it up as a free trial one so that it is going to give. Even if you can see this Red Hat Linux also, it is a predefined template is available that you can able to leverage it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take it up free SQL Server licensing 2019 developer and Windows Server 2022. I'm just going to take this one at this moment. Okay, so in this class what we are going to discuss basically, let's say you just deployed SQL Server IaaS VM. So later on you realize that client has having some, SQL software assurance with him. Okay, so post a deployment also we can able to app that future. Okay, so how we are going to make it as a bring your own license in that deployment as also we can able to explore it. Okay, just that element also we are going to focusing now since we are going to deploy this SQL machine. All right. So this is one I'm going to take it up. Okay, so developer edition, making of a free of cost. Okay, just go to the click on create option. Yeah,
So sorry to interrupt you. Can't we use the same instant virtual machine which you created yesterday?
yeah,
From that
that
exe file, we can download another instance.
that also we can utilize. That's what I'm saying. So I just deleted that one yesterday. Okay, why? Because it is
Okay.
going to cost. So to utilize that one, you just need to create a one image. Okay, so the same image it is going to deploy it each and everything that we are going to do now. Okay, we will repeat that aspect as well. So your question is that yesterday whatever we created, we installed. Okay, that image we can able to, yes, that is a custom image which we are going to leverage. Yes, we have an option to utilize that in existing VM images. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. So here is my resource group. We have multiple resource group over here. I can go and utilize for the SQL RG or demo one also. That's fine. So this is SQL VM SQL in Azure. Yeah, okay. This is my instance SQL in Azure VM. Okay, so this is my host name. So just make this one as a region. Okay, so as I said, we have approximately 60 plus regions across the world, and nearly 150 data centers is available. Okay, so just make sure that region when you are going to select. If your client is having India, you would have to consider the region of the nearest location. Okay, so always that is the best recommendation from the Microsoft. So other thing, last two classes I'm just have a word with you folks, basically availability options. Okay, so availability options, and this is very important role it is going to play. Okay, so availability options, we have a couple of things: availability set and availability zone. Okay, so virtual machine skill set also we are going to discuss, but today at this moment we are going to discuss about the availability set. Okay, and the availability zone as well. Okay, let's discuss about availability set. It's very important, just make concentration on this one. Okay, so uh, first of all, what is the availability set? Okay, so we'll just have a word with this one. It will availability set option. Okay, so in the availability set option, you will get two things. Okay, uh, fault domain. Okay, so other one is update domain. Okay, so fault domain and the update domain, two parameters will comes into the picture. Okay, so first you understand so what it is going to play the role of when you are going to opt the services. Okay, so uh, here is my Microsoft data center. Okay, so uh, you are one enterprise customer with the Microsoft, and you are using the client uh, services from the cloud vendor, right? Either VM storage, whatever you want to use, we can utilize. But we are more focusing of first of all VM. Okay, so Azure VM, right? So what it will happen backend once you are going to leverage that VMs and all. Okay, Microsoft is maintaining under single region, multiple, data centers. Okay, so we have, region. Okay, so we have in a region. Okay, so okay, let's say East to US, whatever you want to take it. Under the region, you have multiple data centers. Okay, multiple data centers. So you may call it as a zones basically. Okay, you may call it as a zones. So just terminologies, um, zone 1 and zone 2. Okay, so you just make sure that zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, likewise it is going to maintaining internally. Okay, physical zone 2 and zone 3. Okay, maybe zone 4 also will be have, and this depend upon the region. Okay, now, so how it is going to accommodate it into the in a physical location in the Microsoft? Just forgot about the cloud. So they have some data center over here. This is data center. Okay, within the data center they're going to maintain a physical racks. Okay, so likewise they're going to maintain like this racks here. Okay, rack 1, rack 2, rack 3, something like that. Okay, rack 1, rack 2. So let's say this is uh, a rack 1. Okay, so you just consider this one, and rack 2. So have you guys went see this physical data centers in your location? At any time you got an opportunity to see the data center inside, how you are going to maintain? Okay, normally one huge configuration, EXX server we're going to maintain. Let's say 120 core CPUs and 5 terabytes of storage. Okay, likewise we are going to maintain. On top of it, multiple servers you're going to maintain. Multiple servers we're going to maintain. So likewise, Microsoft also they're maintaining some sort of racks. Okay, rack 1 you can maintain multiple servers. Okay, multiple server for these racks. Okay, so you can think about it at our home you have cupboards, right? So likewise they're going to maintain. Okay, for these racks, for within the entire data center they will segment into the multiple racks, and they're going to have some to run successfully you may use for first of all power, right? Power we are going to supply. Okay, so that is the one thing. And you have going to maintain some routers, right? Okay, so uh, these services it is going to provide for this all racks. Okay, so this router it is also going to this one. Okay, and you are, as and when you are going to utilize an availability set. Okay, if you are deploying any VM under the availability set. Okay, so it is going to have this the CPU memory configurations as well. The okay, it is going to deploy under any one of the rack, actually any one of the rack. Okay, let's say your VM got deployed under this one, rack 1. Okay, so something went wrong with respect to power and the CPU memory related. So under this rack, whatever whatever VMs is available, VM instances, so that is going to affect it. Okay, so and sometimes entire entire all the racks is also going to affect it. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, if you are going to make it as an availability sort, okay, so fault domain, your VM is going to spread, okay, up to 3 racks, up to 3 racks. Okay, like this, one VM here and one VM this and one VM this. Okay, why we are going to spread this in multiple 3 VMs is basically, if you have an application. Okay, so that application, if you are maintaining only one server, that is a single point of failure. So that to make some redundancy, So you are going to backend, it is going to make it as availability set. Okay, so multiple servers. Okay, so if you are having only single one, okay, it is single point of failure. Maintaining enough 3 servers, okay, let's say sometime 2 racks is going to down, but still you have VM here, your application is running as expected. So what I want to tell, availability set is, it's a kind of one high availability concept. Okay, so infrastructure level, so it is going to maintain, okay, so fault domain and update domain. Fault domain in the sense your VMs is going to spread, okay, between the racks. At any point of time your rack is going to down, the still your VMs is available, your application is up and running. Okay, so that is fault domain. And update domain, so if you guys remember, okay, still though it is maintaining Microsoft data center in a cloud, they are not giving to the 100% uptime. Okay, uptime. So if you are going to opt, basically, okay, so basically what it is going to give, 99.95 SLA they are going to give. It is not 100% of SLA they will provide you, but 99.95 SLA they are going to provide you uptime. But still there is an impact, but that is a minimal impact. So what is the update domain? So since this data centers and all your VMs are maintaining the Microsoft, okay, so based upon the schedule or your customized schedule, okay, so all the VMs we have rack 1, rack 2, rack 3, right? So here is a row wise they're going to maintain row 1 and row 2, something like that. Okay, so what they will do based upon the schedule in row 1, if you have some 100 servers or 200 servers, whatever, okay, so they just go and do some sort of maintenance, like security updates and service packs, cumulative updates, whatever the maintenance task is there, they're going to do. But normally in the availability set option, update domain can have max to max 20. Okay, it is going to accept only 20. So in this particular rack end, we would have to have 20 VMs. It is going to uh, mm, update domain and it is going to impact. Okay, so minimal downtime. That's what they are committed to you, the 99.95 SLE. Just think about it, it is an in details information. So when you're going to deploy any VM, we have in a future like availability set. Okay, so this is like internal within the rack or within the data center, we are maintaining multiple racks, right? So within the data center, if it is going to impact, we have still SLA which committed by the Microsoft 99.95 that your service can able to run. Okay, so this is in a fault domain. Your VMs is going to spread between the 3 VMs. Update domain is whatever the schedule maintenance Microsoft is going to do in a row wise. So that is to, you can accommodate 20 VMs is going to impact on that one. So this is within the single data center. But let's say the data center itself, it is going to collapse sometimes. What is the next option? As I said, we have availability zones. Availability zones. Let me take it up, availability zone. What is the availability zone, first of all? Okay. Any questions, first of all?
No, sir. Availability zones are like a data center. In one region, we have multiple availability zone.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So as I said, within the data center itself, they're going to maintain availability zones as well. Okay. So let's say these racks they're maintaining in a single zone end. So if you are impacting anything, complete your racks, it is going to impact it. Your so VM is not available, right? So that is what. So if the data center itself, it is going to collapse, what is next option? We have an availability zone. This is kind of one of the data center, right, in a single region. Okay, so what it is going to happen if you are going to opt this availability zone, it is going to redundancy the data center level. Okay, so your VMs is going to spread across the three zones. Okay, so three data centers. So one data center is going to collapse and one data center is going to down. So since you VM is spread into the three zones or three data center, it is still remaining your services. This is option whatever we discuss availability set within the data center or within the zone. Okay, but availability zone is simple thing between the data centers, between the zone. Okay, so that it is going to give some redundancy of your data without impacting of your business. Okay, any question? First of all,
No, sir.
let me try to create first of all availability set. So as I said, okay, so if you have any existing availability set, you can utilize, or else you can able to create. So these VMs, okay, so if it is a part of I will make it as a SQL underscore else AV set SQL VMs. The name is that is up to you. As I said, if you can see the fault domain, okay, is a max to max 3 and update domain is max to max 20. Okay, see here what is a fault domain? Virtual machines in the same fault domain shared common power sources and physical network and switches. Okay, so what it will do, instead of making up the single rack, okay, so the power supply and resources and network switches and all, it is going to spread fault domain end. It is going to spread fault domain end multiple racks, so that your data or your VMs are still remain available. And what is update domain? So virtual machines in the same update domain will be the restarted together during the planned maintenance during the Azure never restart the more than one update domain at the same time. So your VMs is spread into the multiple update domains places. Okay, so Microsoft is not going to do parallelly all the update domain ends, so it will go for the sequential order. Okay, so that let's say your first VM1, it is available into the one rack. Okay, so that under that rack it is going to impact. Okay, so the second rack, the second row, it is not going to impact. So based upon the schedule maintenance, it is going to sequential, not for the parallel, so that your data is your services still remain without impacting. Okay, you may have some customization either two or one. Okay, it is going to spread. Okay, so that is what I want to tell here. Let's make it up three and just have update domains. I'll make it as a 5. Okay, so and the security one is other aspect. Okay, so I haven't created anything. Now we can able to click OK here. So the availability set got created. This option, it is going to apt within the data center, within the zone. The as we said that update domain and the fault domain for the fault domain, all the racks within the domain. Okay, so physical racks, the common power supply and the switches and the network related, it is going to maintain some high availability, so that with the impacting of all, it is some resiliency of between the racks, as well as that is going to give commitment to the 99.95 SLA. All right, so this image is not compatible with the selected security type. So to keep trusted launch virtual machine, select okay. Let's see this we haven't take it up, just make it as a standard version. Okay, so the security detail stuff, since we have taken the 2019 developer edition and we have this option, right? So let's keep move. Okay, so I just have 2 CPU cores and 60 GB RAM, and SQL admin, we have taken up the username and a password. All right, so next, disks. So you guys is pretty much aware of disk related stuff, um standard disk and SSD disk and the HSD disk. Okay, so you just have to make sure adding up the disks to additional disk over here, since we have OS disk is available. And let's move forward this networking option. Okay, in the networking option, since we haven't discussed as of now the network part, maybe next 2 to 3 classes after this, we are going to discuss the network part. Okay, so how it is going to opt and all. So it's a management related. Okay, so uh, here is AD logins, you can able to utilize auto shutdown option, we can able to site recovery, OS update and patches and all also we can able to utilize. Okay, so automatically it is going to update here. And the monitoring part also we haven't discussed. Okay, so boot diagnostic is the one of the monitoring tool. Okay, so that we haven't discussed, that we will discuss. Okay, an advanced option. So this is actually basically if you want to install any predefined, let's say you are running a Flipkart application, right? So every time manually, if you want to go and install, that is in a big task. So if you go here to installing of any kind of custom applications, okay, so you can leverage it here to installing of your application here. Okay, so the extensions is available, whatever the extension you want to install it. Okay, so antivirus, these are the extensions available, you can utilize this. Okay, so for the developer, Azure pipelines agent and some antivirus, this is Datadog is one of the monitoring tool. Okay, so this is a free extension tool we can able to leverage. Okay, so at this moment we are not going to use. Let's move forward with the SQL related stuff. Okay, as I said, this is uh, marketplace image. Okay, so we are not going to do some customization here. Let's use as is this one. Okay, so for this one you can able to configure like you can configure like custom image. We'll see that custom image part. Okay, so next deployment we'll definitely use that one. So we have by default it is SQL Server, right? So it will opt premium SSD and ultra SSD. Okay, so let's use this premium SSD, and if you can see this disk type is 1 TB is available. Even we have to maximum 4 TB, we can able to approximately 4 TB you can utilize, but at this moment I am going to take 8 GB part of this testing purpose. See, based upon the um, uh, what disk type you have chosen and what is the size it is going to opt, it is 120 IO ops and 24 Mbps throughputs, like a premium disk. So if you are going to take larger one maybe, so it is going to increase the IO ops as well. So this is for demo, I'm just taking the 8 GB. All right, so this is a dedicated one, and if you want to use for the shared disk as well, okay, use separate disk I'm using at this moment. Most of the cases you have to choose a separate disk. Okay, it is a non-prod or development related, you can use for the shared disk over here. So let's keep this one as is well by default. This is going to create a number of files and initial size and auto growth and all, it is by default it is going to create. But your requirement, if you want to create see, tempdb is basically based upon your course, right? So logical course, you can able to create multiple tempdbs. Okay, so at this moment two numbers and the initial size is if you want to increase, you can able to increase this one. Okay, let's say if you can put 3. Okay, so it is not supporting, you can choose that standard tutorial. Let's keep this one 2 only at this moment for the demo. And initial size and auto grow settings also we have. Okay, so I'm just pressing OK. And here is the Mac drop settings we have. Okay, that's by default in a 0. It will use memory configuration and max drop settings. So memory configuration, let's say your VM is having like uh 20 GB. Okay, normally we will split for the OS for the some memory allocation and the SQL application also some allocation. So it will have a share 70-30% of a ratio, 30% of the ratio for OS and the 70% of SQL application we are going to accommodate. Okay, let's say 20% 20 GB RAM. So for this 30%, it will come approximately 14% of 14 GB is for the SQL application. Rest of the 6 GB for you can use for uh, you can use for uh, sorry, you can use for OS one. Okay, so here I'm just saying that 1024. Okay, initial memory minimum configuration, maximum configuration you can use for since it is in 16 GB, right? Uh, Minimum maximum configuration I can use for 13 GB. Okay, so let's keep this one. Okay, so these are all, we will discuss later. Block page in memory, instant file initialization, that performance related. Just let's move forward for the default settings at this moment. Okay, so it is have automated backup. Okay, if you want to take the automated backup also, it will be there. And our services for, it is like reporting service kind of thing. Just move forward to next one and click on create. Okay, so this is basically uh, uh, marketplace SQL Server IaaS VM deployment process. Okay, post that you no need to install any software repository, right? So it is utilizing the existing software and all. Okay, so yesterday what we did is basically we just mm, we just use only plain VM, Azure VM. On top of it, we installed SQL software downloaded and installed, and connectivity tested, right? But in this case, we are not going to install anything. Okay, so everything it is going to taken care by the Microsoft, since we have already predefined template is there, image is there. So for your question, Udit, we'll go and take this image of the current one and we will use next VM deployment. So meantime, if you guys is having any questions, just let me know so that we can discuss.